Hello everyone. Um, my name is Andy Olday. Christine and I have known each other for a couple of years now. We began our diving education relationship when she approached me when I was managing the scuba program at Divers Direct in Key West. She has asked me to share some thoughts with you about my experience in the dive industry. She prepared some questions for me. Hopefully I don't get too excited when I'm talking about scuba and you can't understand my accent. They tell me I have an accent. So here's the questions that Christine prepared, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. So hopefully I can hold your attention for a little while. So the first question, introduce myself. So Andy Olday. So I began scuba diving, recreational scuba diving in 1994 when I visited Key West. I was there for a 2-week vacation, and 25 years later, I am still in the United States. I just relocated out of Key West to Bradenton, which is about 45 minutes south of Tampa, very close to where you guys might be at this time. So in a very short period of time of learning how to scuba dive, I wanted to take on the role of a professional and pass on that information and share the enjoyment that I had experienced of the underwater world. In 1997, I became a PADI instructor, Professional Association of Dive Instructors, and taught continuously for about 7 years, including managing dive centers in Portland, Oregon, traveling to Mexico, teaching in Portugal and various other locations around the world, living what might be regarded as a typical single dive instructor's lifestyle of travel and dive and really cool stuff. So currently I work for NAUI, the National Association of Underwater Instructors. When I relocated to Bradenton, I was approached by a member of NAUI and asked to interview for a position that would include talking about diving and diving less, and I welcomed that opportunity. So now I am the sales representative for NAUI for South Florida, and also an instructor trainer. So for those of you who are not familiar with the NAUI certifications, an instructor trainer in NAUI is the equivalent of a PADI course director. So I teach instructors on how to become instructors, or teach dive masters how to become instructors. Instructors from other agencies who want to learn about the NAUI creed and the NAUI way of training, and the benefits of the association. So that's what I bring to the table, in addition to visiting 55 NAUI affiliates in South Florida, talking about new materials, the business of diving, and what NAUI actually has to offer the dive center. So that's a little bit about my background. I also own a company called Nekton Crew. Nekton Crew basically is a accumulation of spear fishermen who are scattered all over North America right now, but originated in Key West. And we were hired by Diana Nyad to help her with a Cuba Key West crossing in 2012. We were titled the Shark Team, which at the time seemed very cool and extremely testosterone overloaded. But our ultimate goal was to set up shark repellents around her to give her the best opportunity of success, and if there was any marine life interactions, then our goal was to prevent, give her the tools to continue with the swim and ultimately help prevent those interactions that might mean she had to abandon that swim. So that was 2012. So I immediately saw a need for this, and I understood that the swimming community was relatively small and we weren't going to make $1 million out of it. But it was a very, very cool opportunity to travel and get in the water and meet some cool people. So that's where I'm at right now. My relationship with NAUI is the regional sales manager. I still direct the guys at Nekton Crew, and we have jobs popping up occasionally. I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second. How long have I been doing this? Well, I've been diving since '94 and teaching since '97. I took a good break when my daughter was born, about a 7-year break. So I think if you add all that up, it probably comes to about 15 years in the industry at various levels, managing dive centers and instructing, and also sales repping. Do I enjoy what I do? Absolutely. There's no money to be made in what it is that I do. I'm not going to be rich. I'm not going to be driving a Lexus. I absolutely 100% believe in what I do as far as NAUI and offering dive students the best chance of great education to enjoy the sport. That's where I come from, and now it gives me the platform and able to do that. Where do you see your profession or business heading? As far as Nekton crew goes and escorting ultramarathon swimmers, and now I market myself and our team not as shark divers but as dive safety officers. So we had to pull away from the shark title because it was misunderstood. You know, we're not shark slayers. We don't harm marine life. If anything, we're conservationists. So a lot of the tools that we bring to the table in an open ocean swim, where you may encounter sharks and hazardous marine life, even dolphins and things like that, even sea lions who can get overly curious. There's absolutely nothing lethal about what it is that we bring to the table. Now, we use electromagnetic shark shields, which are produced by Shark Shield out of Australia. I'm sure we've all heard of them. They're very effective. We use shark bands. We have a sponsorship with them. So when swimmers are in training, they're allowed to wear bands and additional things that they would not be able to wear if they wanted the Marathon Swimmers Federation to recognize a registered swim. So they must follow English Channel rules. English Channel rules on open ocean swim, mostly composed of a cap, goggles and a bathing suit. Nothing in addition to that. No timing devices, no shark repellents, no flotation devices. So we set up Shark Shields. We also partner with Florida Keys Community College, Dr. Rice and Eric Lestroud, who have a company called Shark Defense, and they customize a product for us that is a time-release substance, basically made up of rotten shark cartilage and wax. Comes in like a soap bar style packaging. We put that into the water. It drips into the water. Sharks absolutely hate it. It's not lethal in any way. We also have shark bombs that we can disperse into the water, which spin around and immerse this substance which sharks don't like. And this ultimately is giving the swimmer the best chance of success, and hopefully they're not going to be forced to abandon a swim. So all of the materials that it is that we use now on a regular basis, whether it's in warm water or cold water, whether we're in the Bahamas doing a world record swim, we have an invitation to escort a couple of key players in Bahrain to swim the Persian Gulf into Qatar. Wherever it is that we're using mostly the same equipment, non-lethal. The last line of defense for us is actually getting into the water with 4-foot PVC pipings, about 1.5 inches thick. Now we can give them a little poke. Sometimes we'll put little balls on the end of it, little tennis balls, to make sure that it doesn't have it's not going to break the skin in any way. But that is the last line of defense as far as we're concerned and what it is that we do. And in order to be able to be recruited by Nekton Crew, you have to understand shark behavior. None of us are marine biologists. We just happen to have an accumulation of interactions with sharks, mostly when we're spearfishing. So we've learned to recognize behavior. We've learned to handle the shark repellents, and that was step one for us when we were creating Nekton Crew. And then as far as marketing goes with Nekton Crew and the business of it, it's very profitable during the times that we are active, when we have a job on. These jobs are infrequent. So there's only about maybe 4 or 5 dozen ultra marathon swimmers in the entire globe who would think about spending the amount of money that we require to do what it is that we do. And these are usually serious world record attempts. And these people have a reason to believe or have a need to have additional people in the water with them on occasion, and people who are fluent and competent and structured in setting up proven shark repellents like the ones that I've just mentioned. So where do I see us going? 2017 has been somewhat active for us. 2016 was very active. If you can YouTube Nekton Crew or Andy Olday, and you'll see a couple of YouTube videos on there. The world record successful attempt that we did in the Bahamas, one that we did in Nantucket to Cape Cod, where we had a great white on, which was pretty cool. Guy swam for 12.5 hours, and we had all of our equipment in place, and ultimately he was successful. So you'll see a couple of videos about what exactly it is we do. There's no magic to it. There's a little bit of testosterone involved and a little bit of stupidity. But at the end of the day, we have a vested interest in these individuals, a connection with them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do what it is that we do. So more often than not, this is what I learned about the business of sharing information that you guys might be able to learn from. People will suck you for as much information as possible and minimize the risk of passing on funds whenever you give them the opportunity. So I share information about Nekton Crew to ultra marathon swimmers on a regular basis. Probably once every 2 or 3 months, I'll get an email. They've been referenced by usually people who are involved in MSF, the Marathon Swimmers Federation. And I met a lot of them when I was in California in November, when a swimmer that we'd escorted was getting inducted into the Swimmers Hall of Fame. So I was approached by several ultramarathon swimmers, and we're passing on information. That led to emails and additional correspondences. And obviously my ultimate goal at the end of the day is that money gets exchanged in order for us to be able to provide the physical service that we have a good track record of providing. But a lot of people just want to get that information from you, and then they can make their own platform and their own judgment as to whether they want to move forward physically. So what I've learned is consultation fees. So I will now charge a consultation fee in order to be able to deliver a potential client the information that I hope will lead to a physical contract. But if nothing else, I have gained something and offered value to the information that I share by putting a financial charge to it, and that individual can decide whether or not he wants to move ahead with us or take it upon himself, or maybe try and recruit another service, of which I don't think there's a lot of people, a lot of companies. Our competition is slim. I don't know of any other services that are advertised as marine hazard protection, especially designed for ultramarathon swimmers in open ocean. So do you have inventory you need purchase, work with vendors? With Nekton Crew, yeah, we had a substantial investment when it came to shark shields. So we have 8 shark shields. Anybody who's used them before or priced them out right now, they currently run $500 to $600. And then the equipment that we need from Dr. Lestrow that he customizes for us, that's expensive too. Shipping and packaging of that substance is particularly expensive. But PVC piping from Home Depot, fortunately, is very cheap. Brick and mortar business. No, Nekton Crew does not have a brick and mortar location. It is 99% emails to begin with, and training. So we work with Ben Hooper, who you may be aware of. He hired us to escort him across the Atlantic in 2015. That was a huge learning procedure. So we invested about 1.5 years with Ben, training around the waters of Key West, putting in a lot of hours, sucking up a lot of gas, taking a lot of footage, going through a lot of scenarios and a lot of drills and protocols as to how we would best cope with his expedition, which was swimming across the Atlantic from Dakar, which is Northwest Africa, to Brazil, which in Natal. A lot of energy. No money changed hands at that time until I think maybe 3 or 4 months before the expedition was supposed to kick off, in which case Nekton Crew got the amount of money deposit that they required, and everything was a go. So here's what I learned about that particular expedition. When you are dealing with people from a distance who have an ambition of any kinds, whether it's swimming or opening up a dive center or promising to hire you, you need to legitimize what it is that these people are offering and what they're saying. And I did a terrible job of that with this particular contract, and I certainly learned from it. Unfortunately, that swimmer did not have the safety, understanding the materials and the equipment that we had already laid out in advance. So lots of promises were made about additional boats and backup plans and backup materials and medical personnel and medical aids and so on and so forth, because ultimately, although we hope for the best, we plan for the worst with Nekton Crew, and that's what it is that we bring to the table, risk management, if you like, more than anything else. So we actually withdrew our services in the 11th hour of that venture, which contributed to delaying his venture for one more year, amongst other things that he hadn't thought out very well. And as an ambitious marathon swimmer, he had an unsuccessful attempt to cross the Atlantic in November of 2016. And a lot of that, from what I understand, came down to being ill-prepared for the worst. So mechanical issues, physical issues. So my message is to you guys, if you're thinking about getting into any kind of businesses where it's, there's a distance between you and you can't physically see what it is that you need to see, then be cautious of that, because people have ambitions of their own and on their own agenda. So I take that experience and I apply it to future contracts, and the demands that I make as a dive safety officer to people who are not as experienced as I am. So if you want me to give you the best chance of success, this is what I need, and this is when I need it, and this is how I need it laid out, and I need to say it, and that's how we move forward. So yeah, maybe you guys can learn from my mistake on that one. What is your organization structure, or are you the sole person? No, absolutely not. I handle a lot of the contracts with Nekton Crew, and I initiate contact with swimmers, but without the support of the people I have around me with Nekton Crew, there's no way I could move forward. It's not a one-man show. You cannot be everywhere and do everything. You cannot be the boots on the ground and the chief officer at the same time. So right now we have 5 or 6 guys who are open to suggestion when it comes to participating, regardless of the location. Some are more flexible, some are international, some are more domestic. Just English Channel, we had a swimmer attempt a quadruple English Channel crossing, which unfortunately came to an end, which had nothing to do with her abilities or any external circumstances. We have personnel that are able to travel domestically and internationally. Am I an independent contractor? Yes. So the agreements that we make with swimmers are documented, and it's an agreement between them, and it's an agreement between me personally as the CEO or the manager of Nekton Crew. How do you determine price? Price for what it is that we do with Nekton Crew is based on hours, not risk factors. So whether we're diving or escorting in the English Channel, which really no self-respecting shark is going to show up to, but there is a chance, or whether we're escorting Nantucket to Cape Cod, where there is an abundance of sea life, and where there's sea life and sea lions, there's going to be great white sharks and there's going to be big fish. So we base our prices on time. So from the minute we leave the front door with travel expenses, food and accommodation, to the minute that we get back into our place of departure. So we work it on a daily basis. We don't judge it risk factor wise. That's not how I structure it, because we minimize risk. So we don't say high risk, low risk. It's simply how many people and how long we're going to be on the job. That's how we structure our contracts. How do I market myself? So we have a website which is currently being revamped right now. We have a Facebook page. We have the usual kind of social media. But the key way that Nekton Crew markets themselves is building relationships with the Marathon Swimmers Federation and their swimmers. And those guys really do the work for us. So we engage in conversation with people that have usually engaged in conversation with somebody who's experienced our service, and that's how we propagate. We don't just throw out there, hey, not everybody needs a safety crew. Do you leave the business? What happens to your clients? if I leave the business, then if I personally leave the business, then I hope one of the other guys will take over and offer the services. If not, then somebody will see the opportunity that we've capitalized on to have adventure and make money and build relationships with cool people who have nothing better to do than spend 41.5 hours in the salty water swimming from one body of land to another. Somebody else will capitalize on that. Where do I see the industry heading? No, Nekton Crew is never going to grow any bigger than the demand that we have from ultramarathon swimmers, and there's not that many ultramarathon swimmers. You can market all you like, but as far as how many ultramarathon swimmers and people who will hire us, I don't see a huge fluctuation. I don't see a huge increase. We will stay relatively constant, I think. I think swimming and open water swimming's had a kick over the last 2 or 3 years in particular, as open water swimming schools have popped up, and educators and trainers. So we may see a small increase, but not everybody's ready to break a record. Not everybody can afford to finance an expedition to the scale where it's going to create a record. I mean, even a Cuba to Key West swim, a swimmer's looking to raise about $150,000 between support crew, food, accommodation, safety divers, kayakers, gas, insurance, those kind of elements. So it's not something that your general pool swimmer is going to wake up one morning and they're going to get the funds in order to be able to try and break a record. Any final thoughts or words of advice for someone looking to get into the business? As far as the dive business goes, everybody should look into the dive business significantly before they invest a huge amount of time into it. I deal with mom and pop business owners on a daily basis, and I see them loving what it is that they do, and I'd say very few of them drive $50,000 trucks and take 2 days off every week and have the weekends off and work 9 till 5. And then I deal with very, very successful business owners who have multiple locations, who do all of the above and manage their business there. So there is money to be made in the dive business. Currently I'm working with a lady in the Netherlands who wants to open a dive business in the Florida Keys. And the Florida Keys, as you probably know, is a very rich dive environment over a very short geographical space. So people are buying and selling businesses. Excuse me. So what's the message behind that? There's always going to be diving in South Florida. There's always going to be diving in North America. There's always going to be diving in Bonaire and Aruba and exotic locations. And people are going to need training. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as training in the dive industry, it's very undervalued. So for those stores who are offering $99 certifications, I don't know how you're making any money. For those stores offering $499 certifications, you probably are making a little bit of money. But when you compare it to a golf lesson, which is $150 an hour, and you figure that you're going to get 25 to 30 hours worth of tuition from an instructor to get an open water class, and how do you take $499 and divide that between pool and board and equipment rental and those kind of things? So the business of diving, you're all, if you're going to be doing this before DEMA, before November 1st, if you dive professionals and you'll be able to get into DEMA, and you'll see exactly how the sport is expanding or shrinking. Always a lot of discussion about training, because that's the foundation for people buying equipment. So a lot of mom and pop stores will use get people to train, and then they will make their money from selling equipment. I personally feel like we should be making money from training and selling equipment. I'm not a big fan of discount entities and internet sales. One of the things that you cannot get on the internet is gas. You cannot buy air, and you cannot buy nitrox from gas, so that's a good thing. And you cannot buy personalized training on the internet, certainly not the physical aspect of it. So, Christine asked me to talk a little bit about NAUI, National Association of Underwater Instructors. It's the largest non-profit training association in the world. It's a true members association, so everybody who becomes a leader with NAUI, so a dive master, an AI, or an instructor, or an instructor trainer, or a course director, has a voice within the association, and that's one of the things that separates us from the other training associations. Paddy served me very well as a dive instructor for 22 years. I needed materials and I needed support, and they delivered on that in a very structured course. What NAUI brings to the table is academic freedom and a lot of flexibility for an instructor who's been training for a long time or a while to bring elements into a dive education course that Paddy doesn't favor. It's very, very structured, and that's what it brings to the table. Has good qualities, great learning materials. SSI right now as a training agency has an excellent digital platform. NAUI is developing their digital platform and their websites, but it was the original training agency way back in the 60s when there was a huge amount of testosterone, and they were doing push-ups by the side of the pool and running around the pool and running through the pool and ditching dawn and all those kind of cool things. So there's a couple of differences about the training agencies that are out there, right? The three major ones: NAUI, Paddy, SSI. SDI is doing a good job right now as well, and they all bring something to the table. But as far as where I sit, regardless of how you were trained or where you were trained or who trained you, I think 99% of the experience comes from the instructor, and if he can deliver the ingredients to give you, the student, or your students in the future, the best opportunity for success to be a safe diver through education. That's what it is that I personally, that's what drives me when I have conversations about the dive industry, to give safe and accurate and realistic dive education. So if you're looking to open a business and you can offer some of those ingredients, then I think that you'd be on a good road to success as a dive store owner or as an independent instructor. So that's it. I wish you all success and a great learning experience. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can get me by email, Olday, AOLDAY @naui.org. You can text me or call me, 305-393-3487. I love the business of diving. That's all I got. Have a good one.